then we also got Jonathan here as well, because nobody starts out as a really experienced anything. And so, we all have to take our first backpacking trip at some time. But I think Jonathan's experience on the John Muir Trail in particular and through and long distance hiking, I think is something that can enrich our virtual experience. Like we aren't, hopefully we're getting into a routine of walking, but our routine of walking and living our lives and going to work and taking classes is a bit different than that routine of like you wake up and you hike and you go to sleep. And so time on the trail is a little bit different than time in the front country. And so I guess, Jonathan, I wanted you to, if you could, I don't know, like speak to through hiking, the John Muir Trail, like what do you want to talk about tonight?
Yeah, so I was thinking about it. I know one of the things you wanted to touch on was like how I even thought of doing this trail to begin with. And
Yeah.
So every year we would go to Yosemite as a family, and there's this big sign at the beginning of the Happy Isles trailhead that has every single place you can go. And when I was younger, like we were only allowed to go to Nevada Fall, which I think is like 4 miles away. And then when I was 9 or 10, my sister took me up to the top of Half Dome. But at the bottom of that sign, there's Mount Whitney, and it's via John Muir Trail. And just growing up as a kid, that's so abstract that something could be 200 miles away on a trail. So that's just was in my head, like from age, let's say 6 on. And it never seemed real. It just seemed like a sign. And then there was this opportunity I had in between working after graduating and going to Spain, where Colin already mentioned. We just happened to be at the same time and didn't even know we were both going to be there. It had this like little window. I thought it was going to be maybe the only chance I had my whole life to do this trail. So my brother and I planned for a few months, and he was in Northern California and I was in San Diego. So it was kind of a little bit hard to plan everything, and we kind of assumed the other person was going to do everything. So we kind of got everything done, but that's kind of like the origin on how we came to even do the trail. And we had a really small time window. We had 2 weeks to do it. And like a typical John Muir trail, I think it's like 20 days or 23 days is like what the guidebook sort of plans for you. So we found this crazy blog online where this guy had like a 14-day itinerary. And yeah, so we just went off of this guy's itinerary and just figured maybe we could do it. And we arranged for our parents to pick us up at Whitney Portal, and we just drove to Yosemite and then got walk-up permits for the same day and started out on the trail like 11:30 a.m. So possibly the worst time of day to start. So hot out. Our packs were very heavy, so it was like an early wake-up call for us that this was going to be a bigger task than we thought. So the idea going in was like, we're going to be able to connect with nature. We're going to be able to sit next to rivers. We're going to be able to like, forage for food and hang out and talk deeply about life goals and stuff. Sort of shifted into like, okay, we need to make it to camp and we need to eat. So our priorities changed very quickly on the trail, which was interesting to see. And it was interesting, like to just like mentally get into this groove from being in San Diego at sea level, working without very much activity, to having our only task for the day was to walk. And we had to walk a lot with heavy packs on that we weren't used to. So it was interesting development, trying to like figure out, okay, how do we need to pack our packs? And like, what can we change while we're in the middle of this thing to like give ourselves the best success? And for me, that was like a cool thing to watch, was like us trying to brainstorm this thing on the spot and like just develop as hikers in the moment. Because we came in with like very little hiking experience. But I feel like by the end of the trail, we were pretty proficient in hiking, and it was like basically a 2-week crash course. In like, in a lot of ways, like, you know, sink or swim. So, um, yeah, it was interesting. I think like one of the biggest surprises, was just like how big of an impact this hike that didn't seem like, I thought it was going to be a really deep experience, and then it quickly seemed like it wasn't going to be, but like how much bigger impact and deeper that was, over like, let's say the last 7 years since I did it, than I ever could have imagined. So it's kind of cool, like, to reflect on I was reading through my old hike journal today and looking through a bunch of photos. And this kind of did like set the framework for like the last 7 years with how I view a lot of things and, think about adventure. So yeah, it was like a very, very worthwhile 2-week experience for sure. So hoping after this virtual hike, some people get stoked to do either a section of it, or just do the whole thing. Like, it's not as crazy as it might sound.